the timing.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to Daily Dose. Happy Friday. Happy start of the long Independence Day weekend. Can you explain why Dan Leopon says we can't call it the 4th of July but need to call it Independence Day?
Because the 4th of July is a date. Independence Day was on July 4th, 1776. So his argument was you should call it what it is and not by the day of the month.
Like we don't call it Merry December 25th?
Yes.
Okay. Or I guess Merry 25th of December. Oh, that makes sense. Thanks, Dan. Dan is our resident quirky knowledge guy, so thank you for that. We have a couple of things to talk about today. Well, we have more than a couple of things. One, thank you to Michael Mazel yesterday for joining us for that
That was a fantastic
really
conversation.
interesting conversation. Hold the book up one more time. I forgot to link that to it. I'll do that today. Drowning in Addiction from Gatekeeper Press. Thank you. I don't think you need to keep it there forever. Stop it. Yes, so she wrote that book with two other people. I'm not sure if they all work at Harmony or not. I can't remember, but really, really good content. So thank you for joining us, Michael, and for being so open about your journey, both in the book and with us. That was a pretty important, this sounds like an insane thing to say, so just recognize that, we'll set it aside. I had a pretty important realization yesterday that we've never exactly hit on in quite that way. After all these guests, 36 or 7 guests, almost all of the addicts have talked about, I didn't feel comfortable in my skin. I never felt like I belonged. I was socially awkward or uncomfortable. And so I used drinking to fit better. And what I realized yesterday after all these conversations is what is the difference? I don't know anyone, including me, who doesn't feel socially awkward from time to time, who doesn't feel like she doesn't fit, who doesn't walk into an environment and think, oh, I don't know what to do here. I'm so uncomfortable. I'm so awkward. I'm so fill in the blank. What is it that causes some people to sort of take a breath and get through it, even if they don't get through it with grace, but just get through it? And what is it that causes other people to say, I gotta drink? I'm just incredibly curious about that. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I actually truly have no idea.
We need to we need to talk to some additional therapists because they might have some thoughts around it because it's in their workflow.
I mean, alcohol does make you feel different. Alcohol
Yes,
does
it makes
loosen
everybody feel different.
your ambitions. Now, if some people go for that or not, I don't know what the link is there. But what is interesting, seeing as you brought this up, is that when you go into treatment, you learn how not to depend on alcohol. Whereas people that you've just described, like yourself, never depended on alcohol anyway. So how that addiction switch starts to trigger the disease is something I feel I'm not actually qualified to.
Well, no,
talk about,
we're not
to be
qualified to do much of anything except just hit play and finish. But I just am fascinated by it because the other thing that I think is you and I viewed, when you were drinking, you and I viewed alcohol exactly from the opposite end of the spectrum. So in your case, and correct me if I'm wrong, in your case, the more you drank, the more interesting you thought you got, the more compelling your conversations were,
Yep.
the more people wanted to be around you in your mind.
Yep.
The more I drink, for what that's worth, the little bit that I drink, the more I start to internally say to myself, you have got to stop. You are out of control. Nobody's finding this interesting. You're not interesting. Stop it, stop it, stop it. And I can tell you, you've heard me say on here a lot lately that I'm really, really stepping away from alcohol. And I really am. Even the small amounts that I drank before, but I did happen 2 nights ago to have 2 glasses of wine. A little bit accidentally, although I chose to drink the second glass of wine. We were out with some friends. I ordered a glass of wine because I just did. And then the server came by and said, "Do you want another one?" And I said no, and she brought it to me. So I think she just didn't hear me. I should have said, "Could you take this back?" I didn't. I drank it. And by the time I was about halfway through that second glass of wine, I know exactly what I said that made me say to myself, "You stop it right now." Because I've had so little alcohol lately that a glass and a half of wine made me kind of goofy. So I'm really fascinated. I know I'm not more interesting tipsy. And it took you a long time to trust that you were more interesting sober
Yeah.
than drunk. So I don't know. We do need to look into it. We will see if we can find some people who can explore that with us, because I'm just so fascinated by it.
It's a very interesting thing to think about, actually.
Well, and the way that you just referenced it, the addiction switch, you have always talked about what our bodies do with disease from that switch standpoint. It's how you talk about cancer. It's how you talk about diabetes, all those things that your body's got all these, imagine a wall of light switches, and some people's click on and go one direction, and some people's click on and do nothing, and some people's never click on for whatever reason. What's the statistic with cancer? Like, how many people have the gene to develop cancer?
I don't know what the statistic for that is, but statistically 1 in 3 people will develop some form of cancer.
And that's regardless of external.
Yeah, I mean there are
smoking,
genes,
those kinds
there are
of things.
marker genes that have been thoroughly investigated that increase your potential to develop a form of cancer, but it doesn't actually mean that you're going to get it.
That's like that. I can't think what kind of breast cancer it is, like Angelina Jolie had, that her mother had. She had her double mastectomy in, what's the word? To proactively head it off. She hadn't been diagnosed with it.
Preventative measure.
Preventative. So she may not have developed it,
No,
but she did have the gene for it.
That knowledge has saved thousands of lives and a lot of suffering. If you've got a couple of marker genes for breast cancer, they give you the option. It's a brave decision. But if you have it removed, the chances of you developing that form of cancer drastically would drop. Another one is ovarian cancer. If that's rife in the family, one of the best procedures is to have your ovary ducts removed. You don't even have to get your ovaries out. So you still go through your monthly hormonal cycle, which a lot of people, if they have a complete hysterectomy, if they're too young, actually stop feeling like a woman. But having your ovary ducts removed, I was like, again, I feel terrible. I teach this in a non-major biology class.
No, it's good. It's good.
Don't feel like, well, he knows everything about. What does he know everything about?
I'm going to my OBGYN today.
I'm not a gynecologist, for the love of God. Please don't think that either.
Anyway.
But it's been shown that form of preventative medicine is true. So, is there a form of preventative medicine for alcohol and the disease of addiction? The only thing is, if it runs in the family and you're aware of it, don't drink alcohol. So,
do you think, based on what you just said, do you think that there is actual genetic proof that it is passed on, or is that a case of you grew up around it, you observed it, and so your nurture is pushing you likely toward, not likely, but your tendency goes up. So let's just make a huge blanket statement and talk about the Irish, okay? The Irish have this long history and stereotype of being alcoholics. You come from, not immediately because your dad never drank, your mother's a very, very moderate drinker. You come from, though, a long line on both sides
Yeah.
of your family of drinkers, and it's very cultural to your race, not race, culture. So, do you think there's like a different switch in you as an Irishman that perhaps is not in me, or is that truly just it has been so culturally acceptable that it just sort of becomes part of life?
That's a hell of a question. I don't know. I really don't. You could say, well, if you know about it, then you can avoid it, which is actually a perfectly valid statement. You could succumb to your culture, but it still doesn't explain me. I mean, yes, I used to drink, but I also for a long time knew when to stop, and then suddenly I didn't stop. So being totally aware of becoming a late onset alcoholic does not explain the history of my
of your people.
Of me people. Well, my family history, let's put it that way. It doesn't actually make any sense. Some people can come from families with no history of alcoholic and end up being an alcoholic drug addict.
Yeah, of course. I'm just really.
But it's a very interesting thing. We need to see if we can find ourselves some.
We need to find a scientific researcher into addiction.
Yeah, and a few counsellors and social workers. And
so we'll
like
make that part of our quest. So, yeah, wow, really interesting to me. Next thing to talk about, kind of quickly, is if you are someone who is in any stage of addiction and recovery, you might be nervous about this weekend.
Yes, 4th of July.
4th of July is
weekend.
A big drinking
Monday
weekend.
Today till Tuesday, to Monday night, really.
Yes. So we've talked a lot about what you can do if you're nervous about going into public, into the lake culture, if you're from around here, or whatever your 4th of July Independence Day cultural plans are. So just quickly go through 2 or 3 things people can do before you get to the lake. Do this beforehand so that you're ready when you get there, because temptation is hardest to avoid if you're not prepared. So how can people do that?
One thing you can do, and I actually just got this idea, I can't believe I'm going to say this out loud, a Toby Keith song I heard in Spin this morning. He has this...
Red Solo Cup.
That one. You
I
can normalise
feel
what you
love.
drink, because you could get a red cup like everyone else and put whatever you want in it. So no one there needs to have any gun. What are you drinking? None of their freaking business.
That's true.
You can put water
Put your
in it.
name on it so that you don't pick up the wrong
You can
cup.
put tonic in it. You can make a virgin, whatever you want. Write your name on it. Brilliant idea. Or write a smiley face, or do a heart with your initials or something. Keep an eye on it so you know. There are people
don't
out
let
there
somebody
that
else grab your
that
cup
if you
and
don't
go
want to
fill it
drink,
up for
think
you.
you'll be fine if they give you a drink. So go with people you trust, and if you don't do that, you can just do those little things. But the main thing is relax. Try and enjoy yourself. Have a plan. Have an exit plan. Go for a walk. In fact, now that Dana brought this up, I've just remembered this too. Last year, everyone was on about, there was a 4th of July holiday. We were still in the grips, and more so in the grips of COVID. We still are, by the way, so please, if you're going out and try and be vaccinated. I know it's a bit late in the day now, you can't go and get them both today, but if you are vaccinated, bring a mask with you just in case, just to be sensible, even if you have a couple of beers. But one person who was in my Friday night AA group actually Zoom, because it was on Zoom anyway, they zoomed in from the lake, and they said, I'm nervous. We kind of dedicated the Zoom meeting to talking to them. So find someone you can talk to if you're nervous. If you have a sponsor, phone them up. That's what they're there for. If you have a friend and you haven't gone to AA, who said, you know, I can, who, you know, whatever capacity your friend is to try and help, give them a ring.
If you've told nobody for whatever reason and you get nervous, send a message to Daily Dose.
Yeah.
Maz will call you and talk with you.
And you can find Zoom.
Is that someone calling you right now?
No,
So much is happening.
unless someone's watching this in Vermont.
They might be.
It's either, or you're phoning to tell me that my car warranty has expired, probably. But honestly, you can find a Zoom AA meeting and you can join it. Zoom AA meetings actually are, they don't have passwords, and if they do, when you're looking for the Zoom address, they actually tell you what the password is because they want you to join the Zoom meeting.
Yeah. So just make a plan. That's good for everybody. Everybody should make a plan. If you don't want to overeat, if you don't want to forget to put on sunscreen, if you don't want to think about, you know, get caught up in too much drinking, guess what? Nobody should drink too much. It's going to be hotter than hell outside, which means you're going to be dehydrated anyway. Have a plan for how to not spend the next 3 days obliterated, whether it's because you're an addict trying to stay sober or you're just a human being. Do your liver the favor of being reasonable
and
with
also a shout out to veterans. Everyone keeps talking about looking after their dog. It is important if you are a veteran or you know someone who was in a combat zone and
or has any PTSD.
fireworks
Yes.
could be a trigger for them.
Reach out to them
Reach
too.
out to them too, or if that is you, remember you have people you can reach out to. No one is alone this holiday weekend.
Last thing, if you are planning and hosting this weekend, get a variety of non-alcoholic options ready. Have them there. Do not expect somebody to bring that to your house. Maz never travels with non-alcoholic stuff, not because he expects other people to provide it for him, but because it just makes him feel, I don't know why, but it makes him feel a little bit funny.
It does. I don't know why either. So please don't send a message going, why did you make that make you feel bad? I have no idea. It does.
He never shows up with it, and is happy to drink water if there's nothing else. Be thoughtful about all the kinds of people coming to your lake home, your home, whatever, and provide lots and lots of options. I was stunned. The other night we had a bunch of donors in our backyard, and I provided sparkling cider and hop water and sparkling water. And a bunch of people, all of whom drink in our lives, drank that in addition to wine. So
well, because it was warm.
It was warm, and because it was good.
Yeah.
So just be thinking about everybody coming, and have an excellent and safe 4th of July. Keep your fingers away from the sparklers. You know, it's super dry, so don't set off the millions of fire alarms.
Do not set fire to anything, especially yourself.
And just have a fabulous and safe 4th of July. We're going to do the same thing next week that we did this week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, we're going to show episodes 4, 5, and 6 of our first 9-part series. We'll be back on Thursday and Friday live next week. We'll see you then. Happy 4th. Bye.
Have a great one. Bye.
Oh, happy first 4th of July as an American.
Oh, yes.
Ta-da, 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 ta-da.
Thank you.
A lot of James. I can't get it. Never
James
mind.
Cagney.
Yeah, but
Yankee
that's not who.
Doodle Dandy.
Yes, that. See you later.
See you.
Bye.
I'm an American.